What's up, guys? You're listening to episode 44 of Candid Cloud Convos.
And if you've been here before, you already know who your hosts are. But if you're new, I'm Emelita, and that's Gina. And this is Candy Cloud Combos. Bitches.
Welcome back.
Yes.
Today we're getting into relationships
and mental health in relationships.
Let's see what comes of this. We did an episode a few weeks ago where we're supposed to mention this, and we kind of ended up going for longer than what we thought. So we're like, okay, well, let's just bring it up here.
Right. So that was more of like our personal journey and our Healing Girl Summer. Check it out right here. So we didn't have time to get into this, but it's more like of the mental health in a relationship.
Being aspect. In a relationship.
Like a romantic relationship, I guess.
Yeah. Starting off Chisme Chatter. Same exciting news, same exciting news, but different country. We got new listeners in Peru. So, hola, our Peruvians. So happy to see you.
For you to see us.
For you to see us, for you to be listening, us to see you pop up on our
analytics.
Thank you, our analytics.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's just so, it's an unmatched feeling knowing that our little family is growing, even though it's like a very slow growth and we've talked about it. We're very grateful, like regardless. Oh, yeah. And thank you so much.
Welcome.
Yeah. Gina added this and I did see some of it or some things about it, but I didn't know if it was the whole US, but I know California is the worst apparently for there's a teacher shortage in the US.
And we actually talked about this kind of before where we were saying that it was probably a Chisme Chatter that teachers were quitting. A lot of teachers were quitting, and because like kids were being disrespectful, low wages, all these different things.
Especially after the pandemic, I feel like a lot of the structure has been lost.
Online learning and having to come up with these new teaching lessons and all these things.
Right.
So now there's a shortage. Now it's showing, the effect that it's having, that these teachers are not getting paid what they should be.
Yeah.
Being disrespected over and over again, like all these, and it is across the US. I think it was a news segment that I seen it on.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it was Florida. I want to say it could have been Texas or Florida.
Yeah.
Super random and not close to each other at all. But for some reason, those are the two.
Right?
Texas and Florida? No.
Are they not?
They're like, Texas is like the middle, and then Florida's at the very
to the end. Yeah.
That. Mm-hmm. But
right.
One of those, they were. You guys might.
I was gonna say you have to mention it.
Like, yeah, it's swinging because it's windy outside, and so if you see something come close to me, it's the umbrella. But there's one school that's like 200 teachers short, or I'm not sorry, one district that's like 200 teachers short, and the person was like, that's obviously a concern because we're getting close to when schools are starting. By this point, maybe they've started already, but like a huge shortage across the US.
It's really
and I gotta say, I don't blame them. No. I do not blame them. And there's other teachers who were teachers that quit, and they're like, I feel bad because obviously they know of the shortage, but they're like, I just couldn't do it anymore. Like at some point I had to think of myself, and I'm like,
right. I feel like true. It is definitely true. Like at a certain point you have to choose yourself instead of the kids, unfortunately. But like,
and it sounds fucked up, but like, it's when you get drained that often every single day and you're not getting barely enough to pay the bills, or even not enough to pay the bills, a lot of things are coming out of pocket for, like, how do you justify that at the end of the day?
Like life smacks you in the face and you just have to do what you have to do.
It makes you not love what you're doing anymore.
Right. It is just really sad though for the kids because with that, obviously they get the short end of the stick, and it's going to mean more kids in one classroom getting less like one-on-one attention with your teacher. And I feel like sometimes you need that because
it's going to affect learning. Not
going to stick the way that it would for everyone, So,
and obviously this is kind of like, it's already a problem. So a little bit after the fact, but it's still something you can work on. If they're saying a lot of the reason is because kids are being disrespectful, like talk to your kids and figure out what's going on there, because that's really messed up for teachers to really be on the brink, like hundreds and like, sorry, this thing's hitting me. Like hundreds of teachers that are really quitting or not wanting to get into the field because of that. That's a
Yeah.
problem. That's a
And they
big
don't
problem.
make much, like you said.
No,
Like,
to be putting up with disrespect on the daily like that, and older kids, I could not even imagine. I
and
could not.
I seen too that like on their taxes, teachers are only allowed to what do you call it?
Like
Like
write-offs,
write off. I want to say it was like
1,000 or something.
no, like
Yes.
$200-300 for supplies and things that they've paid for out of their own pocket.
Oh my
They're
god!
only
Oh my god!
is getting taken out, guys.
They said move on.
Right.
No, but for real,
Which is
that's
crazy.
like maybe one
A lot of
project.
teachers spend their own money on things just so
Yeah.
that their kids can, have that specific experience. So,
Damn. That's literally
prayers
like probably
to
like one
teachers like
project
you.
if you're a junior high or high school teacher that has multiple classes
Woo!
and you want to do something with every single one of your classes and you have to come out of pocket. That's one thing.
Yeah. Or the
Oh,
book,
so
like if
sad.
they want a certain book for the kids to read that year, whatever.
Yeah.
Fucking sucks. And let's just get all the sad news out of the way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So on this note, um, I don't know how I feel about that. Like, obviously, this is like super, super fucking sad. But then the aftermath or the after things that I heard, I was kind of like questioning things. But I'll tell you why.
Okay.
So, if you guys haven't heard of this already, do you know when it happened, Gina? Last week, right?
It was really recent. Yeah, probably like last week or
Within a few days.
yeah.
Okay. So there's a woman named Nicole Linton. She's 37. She's an ICU nurse from Texas, but she's living here in California working as an ICU nurse in Los Angeles. And she is the woman who, if you guys saw, there was six people who passed away due to a car accident. And there was also 8 people injured, which I didn't see. I had to
I didn't
look
know
into
that.
it. Yeah, I
Yeah.
had to look into it because the main headline was just about, the 6 that passed. Um, and of those, there was a woman who was 8.5 months pregnant, and her boyfriend or her partner and his son.
That's
Um,
oh my god. That's
yeah,
horrible.
and there's actually video of the crash. Did you see it?
Yeah.
Terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible. The
You would
one,
hope at the very least that it happened quickly for everybody
yeah.
involved.
I
Um,
think the woman who was pregnant, she did pass away from the impact instantly.
okay. Not good, but
Right.
better.
Right. Hopefully she had some type of peace or
Yeah.
no pain. Hopefully.
That's what it was. It's like no pain.
No
No one
pain.
suffered, hopefully.
But the thing is that she was going more than 100 miles per hour through the intersection, and the cars were
Which
going.
was not her, like, it wasn't her green light, by the
No,
way.
no. She like plowed through the intersection,
Yeah.
and then the cars kind of like blew up. Thank God the cars did not get close enough to the gas station to like blow up a what do you call it, pump and stuff.
Yeah.
Because that could have been obviously a lot worse, but there was cars on fire. The car with the pregnant woman actually split in half down the middle.
Oh
So
my
she was
god.
completely separate from the passenger. So, um with that being said, it turns out Gina actually found this out and I didn't know, and this is what made me look into it further because I was like, wait, what the fuck? So
Uh-huh.
turns out she has already had 13 previous wrecks in Texas and California before this accident happened.
I mean, 13 at that point, how do you still have your license? Or
Right.
did she even like was she driving without a license? Like that had to have been
She does
revoked
have
or
a license.
suspended.
I
So what
looked
was going
into
on?
it. Most
DMV,
of the
what's going on?
accidents were not hers. She got rear-ended in a few of those, but this one obviously was her fault. And then a woman who identified herself as Linton's friend, Nicole's friend, said that she was drunk and fighting with her boyfriend before she got into her car that day.
Mm-hmm.
But apparently, the DA in LA said that there's no confirmed evidence to suggest that she was under the influence. And the motive of the crash is obviously unknown at this point. However, and this is where I was like, obviously, she's to blame.
Right.
But it said that her attorney told a judge that she has a profound history of mental health problems, which should have stopped her from driving the car. I don't know what that meant online, but It says she was not even fit to work inside an ICU facility to treat critically ill patients. So like who was gonna do something? Like who was gonna stop her? Or
yeah,
if they know that,
why wasn't it what happened?
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like if they
Who
know
didn't do
that
their
she has
job?
an extensive amount of mental health issues, which who the
Yeah.
doesn't at this point, but
Yeah.
if they know she's going through something at this time, why is she being allowed to work? Why is she being allowed, like, I don't know.
It just it did
You know what
and
I'm
she did.
saying? Like
So
if
okay.
this wasn't to happen, what if something happened with her patient, or like, like was
Mhm.
this tragedy, could it be have been
Could have been
prevented, is what I'm
prevented.
saying. Yeah.
Yeah. So all that also she lived
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
this, she is facing 90 years in prison.
Mm-hmm.
How, if especially because I know that a lot of the time when someone's drunk driving and they get into an accident, usually
Yeah.
they live,
Mm-hmm.
um which is ironic,
Because of the
but
adrenaline, they don't feel
and
the
they don't tense. Like they say when you
right.
get into an accident, getting tense is like the worst thing to do, and usually when you're drunk you're not doing that, so they're all
Right.
loose, so they usually live.
Mm-hmm.
But if she wasn't drunk, like I don't know how she even survived it with killing 6 people, and she was the driver of the car that was going at that speed.
Yeah.
That I don't understand. In one, not saying that she should have died, but like just I'm
No.
confused about it.
Right.
But yeah, I don't know, there's just so many things that went wrong where it could have been stopped, and these,
Right.
this could have been prevented, like you said.
Yeah. And that's why I was like, okay, there has to be more to this.
Yeah.
Because I'm probably not gonna leave this in. I don't know, maybe. But I also seen that it was like a suicide attempt.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, well, that would make
Because
more sense then.
she was fighting with her boyfriend,
Uh-huh.
you know.
Wait, but that would make more sense
I'll
because
leave that part in then.
yeah, that
I'm
I mean
not
that's messed up
sure.
because then she's taking out other people with her.
Yeah.
And it's like you shouldn't be doing that anyways, but why put other people at risk?
But like she
You know?
definitely, while driving, when you watch the video, she definitely knew it was a red light, and she definitely
Yeah.
knew how fast she was going.
Yeah.
So
So
like
that's the thing, like
it
that's
couldn't have
hella
been
messed up.
an accident to me.
Right, it was intentional then.
It
If
very much looked
if they're saying it was
not to
that,
intentionally hit those specific cars, but I think she intentionally was speeding. I think she
yeah.
intentionally was driving kind of
But like, what did she think was
recklessly.
gonna happen? If you're going that speed and you're gonna run a light, and cars were already going through the intersection, like it wasn't like they just started; they were through. Our
Yeah.
cars had already been going through that intersection. So
Yeah.
what did she think was gonna happen? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh no. Ooh.
I don't know, it's rough. It's a really just all around, it's a messed up situation.
Right. And of course we'll do updates when we do see them, but I just thought like, was that the straw that broke the camel's back? Or, you know,
Yeah, that's the
prayers to all the victims, of course.
and thankfully that's the last sad news that we have for our Chisme chatter.
Yeah, thank
Liven it
God.
up, honestly.
I don't know how to go into this, but pretty much I was watching a podcast earlier today and while I was getting ready, and it was basically about past life regression. And Gina was like, "What the fuck is that? Like, what are you talking
Yeah.
about, girl?" And so there's this girl named Elizabeth April, and she has her own podcast where basically she was born with the ability to see spirits, talk to spirits.
Does that make her a medium then? So she's
The
a
thing
medium?
is, the thing is, she thinks everybody has the ability to do this. She believes that if you can get to that certain point in your process, I will just say, that everybody has the ability to do it and to like release spirits. Like we've talked a little bit about like ghost hunters and ghost adventures and all that. So sometimes if there's like poltergeist in activity or interactions, most of the time it's like an angry entity, right?
Yeah.
But it's because they're stuck there in whatever, let's just say house or whatever. And she helps them like cross over. But she said it's a lot harder for the angrier entities to cross over because they like resent so much of like why they passed or like, certain
Uh-huh.
things like that. But she said anybody can do it if you can like
That's
build up
crazy.
to that. Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so basically she was born with this, and for a while she kind of turned off her powers, we'll just say, because she wanted to be like a normal kid. Like she just felt like
Yeah.
she was always different and everything. And I'm like, oh, girl, same. Maybe I got some powers. But basically, I think it was like 14 years old or something. Her dad asked her if she wanted to go through a past life regression meditation where she got to see 5 of her past lives and see
Wow.
her family before. She got to see like who she was, what she did, what she looked like, everything, the whole environment. I think she said too that sometimes she was an animal, like she wasn't a human, she was an animal. So yeah, it helped her a lot, like heal through some things and whatever. And now she helps people do it too.
Wow. It kind of reminds me of like when people say, and this is not the same, but similar makes me think about it is when people say that they're go on shrooms or like psychedelics and things like
Yeah.
that, that a lot of people say they have a really healing spiritual journey when they're on it, and
Mm-hmm.
that they, you know, just they see a lot, and not necessarily past lives, but just
Yeah.
in the fact that they go through the things that they were pushing away or didn't want to, you know, remember and things like that. So a way to do it without having to do drugs, pretty much just
Safely.
do meditation. Yeah.
Yeah. And she said too that her specific session was an hour and a half, but she got to see 5 lives.
Wow.
Mhm.
That would be dope. Like
She
I would
said it became her new party trick.
everyone just stops partying
Yeah,
and they're like,
she
maybe
said
next
she took
year.
her dad's notebook that had like all the notes and like questions that they would ask to like get you to that meditation.
Uh-huh.
And she said that she took it to go like learn more about it and stuff. And that at parties she would ask people like, because she was like 19 at this time in college,
Uh-huh.
and like after a few years of doing it, and then she would ask them like, oh, do you want to go through it, blah blah. They're all drunk, they're probably like, girl, what the fuck are you talking about?
Lucky them, they got to do it for free.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Me and Gina may or may not want to do this, and if we do, we
Hey.
should definitely do a freaking podcast episode on it
Oh
because
yeah. I
it's
feel like,
crazy.
and I've always said this, and we've talked about this,
Mm-hmm.
um, that I feel like I don't know about my past lives or nothing like that, but the one thing that I've always felt or thought was since a kid was that in one of my past lives, I don't know if it was the most recent one, whatever, that I went through it. Like
Yeah.
some one of my past lives really had a rough time.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know why I've always thought that. I don't know why I've always felt it, but like even as a kid, when I didn't really know much about past life, I was like, something happened to me before this life.
Yeah. And this girl, Elizabeth, she got to see herself in past lives. One time she was a healer, one time she was a philosopher, one time she said she was being persecuted for something she didn't do. Just like crazy stuff. So I definitely think that that could be true, and you probably do
Oh,
carry
yeah.
a lot because your soul is the
It's
same
the same
soul.
soul. Yeah.
So I think you would carry a lot of that. And it's funny, not funny, haha, funny,
Funny
weird.
weird.
That me and Gina will watch videos, movies, whatever, and certain things trigger us that really shouldn't. And so
It's
we're
like,
kind of like,
what's
no,
going on?
what's going on?
Yeah.
For real. And so maybe that could be true. I'd be down as hell.
And if you're a little skeptical about like all that kind of stuff, I seen these things, and this is why I was so excited for you to bring this up because
Uh-huh.
I just seen it, and I've actually seen these videos before, but it came up today, and I was like, perfect
I
timing.
was like, perfect.
Like, shh, don't talk about it.
Right.
No, there's videos, and you guys can look this
Tree,
up.
if you can
There's
hear me, touch my shoulder.
touch my hand. I've seen those.
Umbrella, if you can hear
Oh,
me, knock me out.
sorry. There's a ambulance.
God bless them.
Hopefully everyone's okay. We'll just let it pass. You know, Sage actually only
Howls.
twice, but she howls when it
Oh
does.
my god. I was howling at Rex yesterday and he was going crazy.
Okay, it's gone. So there's videos of children that
Mhm.
are like 6 7 young kids that will say to their parents, oh, I used to be this one
Yeah.
specifically, I'll use a specific example. I
That
used to be a
boy.
woman, my name was Patty, and I fell off the building. And
Mhm.
they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Like this kid has nothing, they don't know nothing about this. They looked into it because the kid kept saying, no, I know that in the before I was me,
Right.
this is what happened to me, this is who I was. And they looked into it and there's an answer for it. Things that kids, like some of these kids, one that was like a fighter pilot in
That's
something.
what I thought you were gonna say that one, where he got to meet the older man and he knew exactly who the fuck he was.
Nicknames. He knew the name of the ship. He knew things that no one else would know unless they were there.
Yeah, that's not a coincidence. Like, you cannot tell me.
How do you explain it? You can't. So that, I think it's real. I think it's true. I think there's definitely past lives, and I just don't understand. Well, I guess it's the ability and the gifts from when you're born to just automatically know those things and be aware of it, because obviously we don't know what our past lives, what happened, but they do at that young age enough to vocalize it and like in detail explain, this is what happened, this is who I was.
And it's crazy because I feel like so she says everyone has this ability to do it, but why is it that some kids or some people are born with it, like right off the bat, and then some people have to learn about it and then really like nurture that part of their brain or their soul or whatever? Like, what's the difference?
Right.
Like, I know God took his time on me, okay? I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
God just threw me out there.
But shut the hell up. But like, what is given to them that is like, I feel like that's such a gift.
No,
it would probably be such a
terrifying.
It would be chaotic up in here. Like, it's already chaotic in here, okay? I can imagine people talking to me from all different angles and like going to the store and be like, oh, I know so and so, some blah blah.
It would honestly, I think, terrify me probably in the beginning. Once I came to an understanding of what was going on, then it would be better. But I feel like initially it would terrify me. And also, if I was the parent of a kid that could do that, it would initially then also terrify me.
Yeah.
If my kid is standing there talking to somebody and I don't see nobody there,
right?
And oh, so and so, I'm like, we're leaving, we're moving. Like, I could not
call in the priest right now.
One time, Jay, my nephew, he was probably like 2 years old at the time, and we were in our like this an old house, and out of nowhere we were leaving somewhere, and he just stopped facing like the fireplace kind of and stared, didn't move, didn't say a word, just stared. And I was like, Jaden, I'm calling him, he's not answering me.
Yeah.
He's staring in this one spot. And after a few times I was like, Mom, I got so scared. But as soon as I called my mom, he looked at me, and I was like, and then like snapped out of it, and I was like, what the fuck was that?
And you were the only one who seen him?
I was the only one you seen him because everyone was out of the house already. Oh, so it was him, and I was like, okay, come on, let's go. And he just stopped and like started doing that, and it freaked me out. I never forgot about it to this day. I live to tell the story. No.
Says Elizabeth April, that is not coincidence.
So Elizabeth April, you might be hearing from us soon.
We love you, girl. I'm just kidding.
I don't know you yet, but the information you'll provide,
please help us.
Love you.
Also, just to end off on the dumbest, stupidest, funniest note, right before we started recording, I seen this thing, of course, on the Shade Room. Y'all already know. Some of the things that they put on there, tóxico, okay? But this one, interesting. So, if you had to eat a bag of these flavored chips to win $5,000, which one would you choose? And I'm going to tell you the flavors.
Okay. 5,000?
5K.
Okay.
But you have to eat the whole bag.
Okay. Like what size bag? Full bag, medium, small?
Family size.
Family size?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Did they say that, or are you adding that?
No, it's right there.
Okay.
Bitch. Okay. I'm just kidding. Just kidding. Only one of them had the family size logo. So the first flavor is pulled pork sandwich.
Okay.
Second one is Cajun crawfish. And those are baked Ruffles. The first ones were Lay's.
Okay.
The third one is Doritos. And they're grilled barbecue bologna sandwich.
Okay.
And it's a thick piece of bologna.
Oh, like, damn.
Like a tomato.
And even that would be a thick ass tomato.
Right. These ones are wavy, baked beans and hamburger.
Okay.
And this is the last one. These are Cheetos, baked Cheetos, and it's lobster grilled cheese.
Oh my God. Boom, Cheetos lobster grilled cheese. Sign me up. I'll make 5K right now. I'll finish the whole bag.
Run me my 5K.
Run me my money. I will do that so quick.
Lemonade or something for the
Yeah,
side.
no, I'll do that so fucking quick. Which one would you choose? I'm done. Like easy.
Okay, so hear me out. When my sister and I would get hungry, well, actually, all my siblings and I would get hungry at my mom's. We would be so we used to call them ghetto hamburgers, but it was fried bologna sandwiches.
Okay.
Very good. If you guys have not tried, sorry to the vegans, if you guys have not tried a fried bologna sandwich, you have not lived the struggle life. And so I think I'd probably take that one, the barbecue bologna sandwich, just because it's nostalgic. Even though I didn't put barbecue sauce on it, but I like barbecue chips, so I don't think I would have a problem with it. Even though I know a lot of people don't like bologna.
I like bologna. I think I have to be in the mood for bologna. I won't
I
don't necessarily ever crave it, but if it's there, I'll be like, yeah, I'll eat it.
Yeah. As a snack, I would just eat rolled up bologna with mustard on it.
I would mustard. I would do that. I would do that with ham. Like I would just roll up ham.
Yeah.
Great like that.
Right. Like, why are we like this?
Struggle life, bro.
Honestly, you gotta do what you gotta do.
That feels good too, though.
Honestly, other than the fried bologna sandwich, if we had a sweet tooth, my sister would make fried PB&Js, and it's like diabetes, okay? Fried PB&J with syrup on it, and you eat it like cut up, like fork and.
Oh wow,
girl, it's an experience.
It's what?
It's an experience.
No, I've never had that, but
let us know what y'all.
Oh my god! Speaking of PB&J, you guys. So this past weekend, we hung out. We had ourselves a grand old time.
Insert pictures here.
We were drinking. We went to the pool at night. While we were, buzzing.
Oh, really fun. For a second, I was like, "What are you talking about, PB&J? We never ate at PB&J." But I understand where you're going now.
I'm getting there, you guys. So we were trying to decide on what to drink, and it came down to this peanut butter whiskey that none of us had heard of besides my boyfriend, who had went to Nashville and had it at some restaurant. He's like, "Oh my god, you guys, we have to do this!" Like he wanted us to try it so bad.
He was so adamant about it. I think it's called Screwball or
yeah.
Screwball? Okay.
And at first we're kind of like iffy about it, but then we're like, okay, well, it's kind of like not necessarily, but kind of like a Vegas mom, because he wanted to mix it with a blueberry Red Bull. So we're like, okay. But we also got grape juice because there wasn't enough Red Bulls for us to finish the bottle.
Expensive.
Yeah, and that exactly. And so we tried it with blueberry Red Bull. We tried it with grape juice, and we tried it with apple juice. And it was so good, you guys. Like hella smooth. Okay, excuse me. It was like it didn't
hella smooth.
It was so good. Like I've never had any other alcohol that didn't taste like alcohol.
Right. Not and that goes down without burning or
no burn at all.
Especially a whiskey. Like especially a whiskey. But it doesn't taste like alcohol in the slightest, you guys.
No, it didn't. It was so good with everything you paired it with.
And
it had us feeling good.
Honestly, I think I like the grape juice the most with it.
Either grape juice or the apple juice. I really liked.
Yeah.
But honestly, anything still can't taste the alcohol.
Yeah. Even strawberry something would probably be good too.
Yeah, like a strawberry jam. Yeah. So it was literally like a peanut butter jelly, but it also kind of wasn't fully peanut butter. We were saying when we first tried it, it was almost like hazelnut, kind of coffee-ish almost.
It's like a coffee aftertaste,
guys. Yeah, it was so
good. It's right up our alley.
So if you want to check it out and try it and let us know
21 and over, or wherever you live in your country, if you're legal drinking age.
Yeah, we don't condone underage
responsibly, but you should do it.
Okay, it's so good.
And now we're gonna get into our main segment. So I've also this summer been obsessed with Married at First Sight. I don't know why, the new season just really got me. So I was like kind of writing down some of the quotes that they were mentioning from the actual like therapists and people helping the couples. And so I wrote down the ones that really stood out to me to see if we have opinions on them.
Yeah.
And then like Gina said, we're gonna just see how this goes. But I think it'll be a good episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And let's get into it, Gina.
All right.
Should we start with the quotes?
Yeah.
See where it goes? Okay. So the first one is, insecurities are things that can be put onto others.
I think that's 100% a fact.
Yeah, I
I
think
think
so. So what do you think
1000%
is
true.
like, not specifically, like not an example, but what do you think an insecurity is?
In a relationship?
Yeah.
Well, I really think if you're in insecurities with relationships, either if it comes off jump, then it's more an insecurity within yourself.
Yeah.
Like if you're just automatically thinking this person, oh, this person's way too good for me, so they're gonna go off and do something.
Right.
That's an insecurity within yourself. But then there's the flip of an insecurity in a relationship, and that's based on trust. If someone broke that trust at some point,
Right.
so then it's kind of, I guess it depends on what situation it is, you know, because if there's been that trust broken, then that's valid to be insecure. Like you're not sure if you can trust this person.
Right.
And that's probably a
But
hard place to be if you want to make it work in that relationship. And so you
is the
want to
lack
work
of trust an insecurity? I don't know.
No, I don't think it's an insecurity because the trust was broken.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. Like it was a consequence of whatever.
You're just, I think it's more doubt. Like you're just doubtful if this is, you know, gonna work out or if they're actually out there being faithful.
Yeah.
But I think it's more if it's off jump, you're just insecure and you keep questioning whether this person's gonna be out doing something, then that's insecurity within yourself.
Yeah, I agree. And that's putting it onto someone else because you're making it seem like they're doing something wrong.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of like we've talked about these guys before, and it just makes me think of them when I think of insecurity in relationship, honestly, was the Fresh and Fit guys that you see the podcast about. Like homeboy was trying to sit there and say, and this it always frustrates me that he has like a room full of women in there, and I just baffled with the fact that none of these women really say something. But and then at the same time, when that's what I'm saying, and then when one of them does say something that he doesn't agree with, he literally kicks them out.
Yeah, and he's like, this is my podcast.
Yeah, which that in itself is insecure to me because you can't hear somebody else's opinion without getting all upset, you know. But he was saying that if he's in a relationship with a girl, she can't have Instagram. And I'm like,
how did you meet her? Because let's be real.
Yeah, I'm like, she can't take pictures, she can't post pictures. And even if she does post pictures of herself, why are you that insecure that other people can just see a picture of your girl?
Yeah,
like what if they're not even
with her
ever, but they're seeing a picture of her and you're that pressed about it?
Yeah.
Like that to me, and that kind of insecurity in a relationship where it's off jump, like I just don't know if that gets better.
No, that's controlling. That's controlling from the beginning. So it's not even, I actually heard in a podcast this morning when I was getting ready, and it was talking about if you're in a controlled environment, is that loyalty or is them being out and being quote unquote tested, being like proving their loyalty to you?
Right.
Like 100%. Not if you're controlling everything that they do and say and whatever, then obviously
they're only faithful when they're with you. But if they one time they go out by themselves and then
but if they go out all the time and you know nothing ever happens and they're just doing themselves, they're like doing whatever, you know, like with friends or whatever, then that would mean that they're loyal to you because they're being tested out there, or they have the opportunity to fuck up. You know what I mean? So I just feel like that's more valuable than
100%. I don't want to have, and I would never want to be the one to have to be on you 24/7. No. I don't want to have to stress about where you are and what time you're coming back and who you're with and
tabs.
No. How many times do our boys go out and they end up in who knows where, and we don't even know where they're at, and then we come back and they have all these stories and we're like, damn, like I didn't even know you're going there, but like
they live like 10 lives, meanwhile we're just chilling.
But it's like
we're still getting ready
and we're not even done yet, still halfway through. And never does it cross our mind that like, oh, you went over there, so and then it's now it's a problem.
Who did you see? And blah 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 blah. And who
texted? Like, oh my god, like it's just so. I would never want to be that person. I don't want that kind of stress. I'm not. No, like I'm not your mom. I don't know where you are
as a grown-ass adult.
Exactly.
You know,
exactly. And because I would never want someone to do that to me. Like if I'm going out and I end up somewhere where I didn't know I was going to end up, but we just went with the flow and shit happened.
And
I'm not going to want to and then I get a call like, where the fuck are you, and blah blah blah. Like I'm not.
Like I get for certain safety precautions and things Like I get that for
That's different.
yeah. But if you're just saying that because you want to catch
Because
them
it's
up or
the
something,
problem.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
weird.
No.
So the next one that I have is
Red flag, guys.
red flag. We should do I think we've mentioned
That's a good,
that we
yeah,
should
red
do a
flags.
red and green flag episode
Yeah.
and what ours are.
Yes. No,
Mhm.
for real. That'd be a good one.
Okay, this one is love is a choice, not a feeling.
I think I have thoughts.
Yeah.
Like I think personally, both. Like I
Yeah.
think it is a feeling. I think it starts off as a feeling for sure.
Mhm. Like
And
the lust part of it.
exactly, yeah. Like I think it definitely is a feeling, but I 100% agree with the fact that it is a choice because when you've been together with someone for so long,
Mhm.
regardless, even if shit gets rocky,
Yeah.
like, and that's it could be outside factors or it could be just the relationship in itself, but
Life
like
is hard no
it's
matter
gonna get
what
rocky
it
at
looks
some
like.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think that's when it really does become a choice
Mhm.
because you can either decide, okay, things aren't going the way I thought and I don't want to be in this relationship no more, or hey, I love this person, so I want to try and work it out.
Yeah.
So I think that's when it becomes a choice, and for both parties, for
Right.
sure, to make efforts to work on whatever it is, like whatever the problem is.
Mhm. Like it's a feeling to fall in love, but it's a choice
Yeah,
to stay in love.
yeah, but then also it's like I've heard stories too where like both the people were trying
Mhm.
and they just didn't have that same connection that they did before. Like they felt like they were more just roommates than they were in a relationship. And they
Mhm.
did end up breaking up. And so it's like if what if you do love that person, but you're not in love with that person anymore?
Right.
So
That's
then
what I'm
it
saying.
does
Like
is
it's a
that when it
choice to
becomes the
stay in
feeling?
love, to like keep that same effort of like going out on dates, flirting, like,
Yeah.
like kind of
But
rekindling that, you know?
what if this is something like, but what if they do all that and it doesn't come back? You
For
know what I'm
both of them
saying?
or just
For
one?
either. Like, what if they do
That's
try and
hard.
to re-spark it and the feeling of that they used to have
Really
just
hard.
doesn't come back? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because I've heard that too, and I'm like, did they tried? You know? So I
Yeah.
think that's why I kind of get confused on whether it is like that it is a feeling, but then it is also a choice because it's
Right.
very much the choice to work through a lot of things that come up with being in a long-term relationship.
Yeah.
But
I also
there does have to be that feeling there of being excited when you see this person and
yeah,
like when something good or bad happens, this is the person you want to go
want
to
to
with that
call.
information.
Right.
Yeah.
I
You
think
know?
it also has a lot to say about your foundation too.
Right.
Because if you never had those like hard conversations and like those tough things in the beginning and like learned how to work through them, then it hits you later on. I feel like
Yeah.
you'd be
Oh
like,
yeah.
what the fuck is happening, you know?
Yeah.
Versus it being like a gradual thing and you're like growing together, you know?
Hmm.
So I feel like it just depends on the foundation of your relationship and the connection, really. Like you said, like
Right.
trying to rekindle that. If you don't have an established connection already,
Hmm.
I don't
Or
think
like
it's
what
gonna work
about like
out.
compatibility, you know? Like
Yeah.
what if
If your common core values do not
yeah.
match up, it's not gonna work.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. You could love
So
that person to death, but
see, and that's where I'm coming from. Like, what if it's just
yeah.
because there's also that phrase of sometimes love isn't enough,
Hmm.
and I think in that sense I do also agree with that too. Like you really have to work on all aspects in a relationship, not
Yeah.
just the love part, like the
Compromise.
compromise, communication, like patience, and all those things.
Yeah.
So if those
Understand.
other factors aren't there, you
Hmm.
know, is loving even
And
enough, even if it
it's
is
gonna
the
crumble.
choice?
It's not
Yeah,
gonna be long lasting.
yeah.
You don't have all the other stuff. Unless you just got a yes man, but who wants that?
Funny enough, it's dude.
Majority
Okay, hold on.
probably, but not us.
No, no, no. Like, so my sister has a friend
Mhm.
that the women that he talks to, like, or that are around him, not even just specifically like romantic people, like, or people of interest, but just the women around him, like, they're very much yes women. Like, if he says, "Hey, go do this," like, they're gonna go and do it.
Mhm.
And we're very much not those kind of girls. Like, okay, this can go into something else,
Yeah.
but if you tell me to do something like you're commanding me to do something, I'm gonna have a problem and it's most likely not gonna happen.
Uh-huh.
But when I really love and care for you, I want to do these things for you. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? That's there's that difference.
Mhm.
But so all that to say, he has these women around him that if he tells them go do this, they're just gonna go and do it.
Mhm.
And since him and my sister are really good friends, she's definitely not like that. You know, he's like, you know, you're different from the girls that I have around me. And so I was like, well, does he want that in a girl for him? Like,
Right.
does he want a girl that's gonna be
Like that's his
just,
expectation.
yeah, he just wants her to do whatever it is he asks for, or does he want someone that's going to challenge him more?
Right.
You know?
Yeah.
So it's, I don't know. Like, if you're used to having people around you that are always just gonna do what you want,
I
is
think
that what you expect?
if that's what you're looking for, then you need to come to the table already bringing you can do it for yourself.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then that person, like you said, wanting to do something for you, taking something off your plate, I feel like you would appreciate it more because you're not expecting it to happen. It's just
Yeah.
that person cared about you enough to do some acts of service and like take something off your plate, but you were more than capable of doing it on your own,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
But to be entitled in the sense of like, well, everyone else does it for me, so like you're gonna too. Nah.
See, and that's my thing. It's like I will
No.
gladly do something for you. If I want
Yeah.
to, I will. Like I'm gonna do it. But the second I feel like you're telling me to
Right. If you
is
ask
when
me for a favor, more than happy. But if you're demanding me, like you said, then
no.
oh,
No. It'll flip like a
figure
switch.
it
And
out.
instantly I'm not doing it no more.
No, you can
I
figure it
could be
out.
in the middle of doing it. And if I sense the entitlement there, I'm gonna stop.
It's like when the timer goes off on a cooking show, they're like, hands up.
Yeah. Literally. Like I seen a TikTok where it was like a prank, but the husband was inside and he was playing a game, like playing a video game, and the wife came in and brought him food, and then he just started complaining about the food. And she was like, are you fucking kidding serious? Like, I just been outside sweating in the hot ass weather in front of the barbecue, you're in here playing. Like,
Yeah.
she immediately takes the plate back. She's like, eat shit then. Like,
Right.
if you're gonna complain about the food that I just made you,
Yeah.
you're not gonna eat nothing. Like, you go figure it out.
Hungry.
And
Yeah.
that's 1000% the energy that I will have
Oh,
if
that
that was the case.
call us
You know?
petty, but like don't be rude. If you have a
Yeah.
mutual respect for someone, I feel like you will be grateful for whatever it is, you know?
Yeah.
Even though it's a prank, I get it. But like I would immediately be like, I'm fucking sorry. I was trying to cook for you. Like,
Right.
let me just go mind my own business.
Yeah.
But that's what we were saying about like compromise and communication and everything's perfect to go because the next one, they think that there's 3 C's in a relationship, and I humbly think that there's another one that should be added. So the 3 C's to them are communication, compassion, and compromise. But I think connection should also be added.
Ooh.
Like, there should
Yes.
be 4, you know?
Yeah. I like that. I think the connection is huge. That's a
Mhm.
huge one. That's a good one to add to it. But I really agree. Communication, compassion, and compromise.
Mhm.
I think as long as it's just mutual,
Yeah.
then definitely like 100%. And just, I guess I don't know if compromise comes with like the understanding,
Yeah.
because at the same time, like you can communicate with someone all day, but if
Mhm.
they're not open to even trying to understand it from your perspective, like they're not going to get anywhere, you
Where-
know? Yeah. So I think that's also, I
Or
don't know, a
agree
C
to
word.
disagree. Like if you really can't come to a compromise and it's something that's not I don't even know the right word. Like something that's not like a pressing issue, agree to
Right.
disagree. If it's not something that's going to hurt one of you,
Yeah.
you can have differences in opinions, but
Right.
like still have that respect for one another.
Yeah. No, it's like, and it's hard because it's so easily, especially when in the beginning of a relationship, like you can think it's perfect and everything's connecting, and then all of a sudden you get deeper in the relationship and a person flips.
Yeah.
Like they just flip the switch and they just turn to be this completely different person,
Right.
than what you thought you had gotten yourself into.
Do you think that there is a honeymoon phase? Like, do you believe in that?
Yeah, I think there's a honeymoon phase, but I think how long the phase lasts is just depending on like you and that person.
Yeah.
Like I think there definitely is a time where, and I think you can have the honeymoon phase like in waves. Like I don't think it's
I
just in the
agree.
beginning.
Yeah.
I think there
I
can be
agree.
times where it's maybe not as, I don't know what the word would be, but like honeymoon or cupcakey as like what
Right.
it is in the honeymoon phase. But then there's a time where you come back up and then it's just like that again. And
Yeah. Or even
you know,
more.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
think
I agree.
definitely there
I
are
think
honeymoon
it's
phase.
situational.
Yeah, I just think it doesn't mean it has to be only in the beginning. I think it can be all throughout the relationship if that's what if you guys connect in that way.
Right. Because you're not always going to be happy with one another, you know? Like,
Yeah.
there's going to be things that people say or do that you're not going to really appreciate or like, but you work through it. And if it's worth it, then you keep moving, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. The next one is so there's this one and then one more.
Okay.
There is no such thing as a happy relationship without vulnerability. I agree.
I think long-term relationship.
Yeah.
Like I think you can have a happy relationship if it's like short and you don't plan on it really going that much further without vulnerability. It's more like a lust type thing. Yeah, but I think for a long-term happy relationship, I definitely agree that vulnerability is something that it kind of has to be there for you to really connect. Because then you don't really know that person truly for who they are if you don't know that side, you know? And
Exactly.
I think that's what makes, I mean, me personally, I'll say that that's what makes me feel more connected is, you know, having really deep and vulnerable conversations and just really getting to know each other.
Like seeing the real version of themselves, like
Yeah.
fullest form of them, because that's
Yeah.
like a lot of the times when you're being vulnerable, you have to talk about your feelings, and that's literally the only thing that comes directly from your heart, you know?
Yeah.
So it's like them being able to show you that it's like they trust you on another level, which then, like you said, helps your connection because, like, oh wow, they trusted me enough with this information to talk about it and like open up and be,
Yeah, exactly.
you know, I
But
agree.
then and we kind of mentioned this like earlier, not on the we weren't recording yet, but that's also when it goes both ways.
Yeah.
Like and that's the part about vulnerability that's so scary is that what if you open yourself up to being vulnerable and the other person uses that to their advantage.
Yeah.
And so it's like, especially when you have trust issues already, like what happens then, then that's what makes it harder for people to open up and be vulnerable with somebody else in a separate relationship because they did it before and they got it used against them.
Yeah. And we kind of like what we're stemming into is that I feel like someone could, okay, from our examples, we got very fortunate to that we both met our boyfriends very young. So like there's not much that they can lie about. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we
Yeah.
already know because we grew up with
We know
them.
their whole life story.
We've been with them for however long.
Yeah.
We've seen them through all of these things. But like on an outsider looking in on someone else's relationship or just a different dynamic, I guess, someone could be very much lying. Like
Yeah.
so much lying just to get whatever it is that they want. And then once they get it and they know that they have that control, boom, like they switch and they're a different person and you can't recognize them because they were never being the real version of themselves, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So we were talking a little bit about like narcissists and how apparently a lot of people are narcissists nowadays. Like
No,
it's a
really.
huge, huge thing
Yeah.
that's been coming up. Even podcasts that I listen to, they're talking about how to recognize it and like how to
Yeah.
have a healthy relationship without having narcissism and all that stuff. And it's that's crazy. Like,
No, really. And it's like you said, we got really blessed and fortunate enough that the people that we're with, like this is not from personal experience,
no.
but like we're not speaking from personal experience in that sense, but there's so many people around me that have dealt with it or are dealing with it and even different relationships than a romantic relationship that I've experienced being with, around a narcissist that wasn't, it wasn't a partner, but it was someone that I had a relationship with, whether it was a different kind of relationship, you know what I'm saying?
Friendship, whatever.
Yeah. So in that sense, it's still being able to tell the signs of a narcissistic person or someone that has narcissistic tendencies.
Yeah.
And all of these topics just it makes you think of the other side of it when you've dealt with someone that was a narcissist. Like we can say all day, like, I'm not going to deal with if they did this. But a narcissist, they know how to manipulate. Like they will have you thinking they're a great person and boom, one day it's just all different, So
And
it's
I
like
wonder, like,
hard to speak on it
what
from
is
that
the motive?
perspective.
Like, why do you so badly want to control every little thing in your relationship? Like,
I've
why do you
heard
need that so bad?
Yeah, I've heard, and obviously this isn't speaking for all of the narcissists out there,
Right.
but it would
Also,
that
we're
it's
not
common
doctors.
thing. Exactly. Like I think it came from like a psychologist or whatever that
Period.
said
We're
this.
doctors. I'm just kidding.
From someone else who's a doctor. We're just messengers. That like a lot of the times the narcissistic tendencies come from they had no control when they were younger. So now they put all this, I guess, responsibility or whatever on themselves. Like I can only trust myself, so I'm gonna make control everything else around me now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like it comes
They're a
from
product of their environment.
pretty much, right? And so it's
Okay, but also,
I don't think it's enough of as an excuse,
yeah,
but that's like a reason of how it happened.
they're a product of their environment. However, I will just say there are some people in the world who witness very bad things in their
Do it
life
to
or
other
in their
people.
childhood who do
Yeah,
not go and then mirror that. Yeah. So I just don't
how they get to that
understand,
point.
like,
And it's like, and it's
you know, yeah. Or like what changes between someone who
hmm,
witnesses that or like witnesses bad things, negative things, and doesn't act on it versus someone who, like you said, didn't have control, whatever, but now has to then,
yeah.
because it narcissism is an actual like diagnosable condition, I guess we'll say. So
I feel like a lot,
like
and it's
how do
scary
you,
because
I don't know.
a lot
I need
of
to do more research.
well-known like psychopaths and all that stuff have, yeah,
That's what I was thinking. That's what I'm thinking. In my head, that's where I'm thinking. Like, not
yeah.
to go dark,
They have
but
they're
that's what in my
narcissists or
head
have
I'm thinking the same
narcissistic
thing.
tendencies.
Like
That's such a hard word to say
in
fast,
that
but
aspect.
um, they
Right.
yeah.
They have NT.
But it's and what's even more fucked up is that they always go for somebody that they know is very caring and wants to help people and is vulnerable because they can manipulate
Is
them a lot
vulnerable.
easier, you know, and so that's how it gets even worse or what makes it even
Literally.
worse because it's like okay, well, I want to or I forgive him, I'm gonna forgive this
Yeah.
person, and they'll go based off this person's emotions, making them feel guilty, making them feel, you know, bad or shame and things like that. But you're the one doing wrong,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Or the people who like
Oh, the
for a fact you didn't
gaslighting.
do something, but they convince
Yeah.
you so hard that you did. That yes. And honestly, certain things that I heard or like certain phrases that I've heard even on shows and stuff, I didn't
Like
know that those were like gaslighting terms. For example, like I had literally just seen something yesterday. It was talking about um
well, I
oh
know
shit,
like
I can't even
when
think of one of
this
the
is really
examples. Did
random,
I
but
save
just
it?
for right now, watching Jersey Shore back and looking back at Ronnie and Sam's relationship, when I was watching that, I was a kid. Like I
Ooh.
was maybe elementary or junior high. And it was just drama. Like it was just, oh my God, this is so crazy. And now being an adult and looking back at that, he was so toxic. I mean, the both of them, you know, equal did their share, but he was such a toxic person to really convince her, like,
Yeah.
yeah, I went out and messed with other girls, but I came home to you, which means I love you. Yeah, so she should feel bad because
Right.
he
Like I
chose her
chose
at the
you
end of the
at the end
night
of the
after
day.
he had just been around messing with girls. Like, that's so disgusting, bro.
Yeah.
Right.
Like God,
And then
I'm
to make her feel
so
bad about it.
special.
You know, like
Wow.
that's a narcissistic tendency. He
No.
gaslit the fuck out of her the whole time, the whole relationship. So, uh-huh.
So I found some examples. So in TV shows and movies and stuff, when someone's like, after all I've done for you, or blah, 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 like I never knew
So
that that
like,
was gaslighting. Never knew that. Like using something that, or I guess just the term, like, oh, after all I've done for you and you're going to treat me like this and blah, blah,
oh.
blah. Like, even if they did something wrong, but they're going to like bank all the
Mhm.
shit that they've done for you. So you can't use that against them, you know? I
I feel like
never like realize that
I
that was
think I didn't know that
specifically
either, because in
gaslighting.
my
I
head
just
I'm
thought like,
thinking,
oh, that's fucked up, but
well, one, if they didn't really do much and then they use the random barely anything they did to be like, all I've done for you, then hell yeah, I can see that. But what if you really did do a lot for this person and you never did any, like anything really seriously
yeah,
wrong to ruin the relationship, and then they go out and mess around on you, or
yeah,
do something really bad, and you're like, damn, I sat here faithful to
right,
you, I sat here doing this for you, doing this for you, and you're at her on me. Yeah, like, so I'm kind of
yeah.
thinking both, like, what if it's
I think it
legit though?
depends
Like,
on
what if they really
context.
did do a lot and had your back
Yeah,
and you were out there making it look dumb, you know?
yeah, right. And I feel like that person that was messing around would be gaslighting them to be like,
Right.
all I ever did was love you and blah blah blah. But I don't know, whatever. The other example that I had was oh, like if they didn't remember something happening, like I don't remember that. Like you're making it up, like trying to throw shit against you that you know for a fact happened.
Yeah.
I don't know. There was just a few. I had seen it on a TikTok, and this girl was talking about like certain things, and I was like, wow, I never realized those specific phrases were considered gaslighting. Like that's crazy. I see
There's
how it could
probably,
be, but
I mean,
like I've probably done it too. Like,
that's what I'm thinking about literally right now. I'm like, that
yeah,
means I've probably done some stuff that has been gaslighting too. And
yeah.
I mean, none of us are perfect,
No.
but
We
if
always
I
say
know
if you know better, you do better.
exactly, like when I know that something's, and I guess sometimes though I can feel like if I've said something and then I'm like, I shouldn't have done that, or I shouldn't have
Yeah.
said
You're like,
that,
oh, that
or
was ugly.
yeah, I'm like, okay. And I'll check myself at the
Yeah.
same time, but to learn more about what is gaslighting and
Right.
different examples of it,
Yeah.
there probably will be things that I've said or done that were
Definitely.
gaslighting that I
Yeah.
will need to work on, you know?
Right. And it's not if you're not a manipulative person or like coming from a negative place, your intentions aren't negative.
Right.
Then
It's not
I feel like,
intentional.
yeah. I have one last one here, and it says, there's no room for an ego in a relationship. You should never give up who you are, but you should definitely be willing to compromise and grow.
I definitely, you know, what's funny is that I never really thought about ego in a relationship. I don't know. I think I've never really heard about people talk about egos in relationships. I think I just heard more about insecurities or jealousy and
Yeah.
things like that. But thinking of ego in a relationship, I would think that the jealousy and insecurities stem from the ego,
Right.
you know? So I was like, well, that makes
Or,
a whole lot of sense.
but do you think insecurity stems from ego, or do you think it would either be ego or either be insecurity?
I feel like insecurity would be through your ego.
Yeah.
Like,
When I think of someone who's egotistical, though, I feel like they're all about themselves. So if you're insecure, you don't think you're good enough, you know?
yeah. So
So I
that's
feel
why you're
like,
insecure.
no, that's what I'm saying. But I don't think ego would come, or I don't think insecurity would come from ego, because when I think of someone who's like egotistical, I think like they think they're hot shit. And if you're
Oh,
insecure, you don't. You know what I mean?
okay.
Does that make
Like,
sense?
no, 100%. Like, I see what you're saying. I'm just
Huh.
thinking, like, because even to be, what if you still think, okay, if I don't think like I'm hot shit, right?
Hmm.
But I'm in a relationship and I'm constantly thinking that he's out there doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So like, he's making me look bad. He's
Mm-hmm.
out there making me look dumb. He's out there making me look stupid.
Mm-hmm.
But it's based off because I'm just not confident in myself.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah. But would you think that like, oh, that person's out there like playing games if you had a lot of trust in them?
you shouldn't.
Yeah.
You shouldn't.
But
It's
does
hard.
trust come from your ego too?
Ooh, that I don't know.
I don't know. This could be interesting.
It's hard because especially when it comes to trust issues and things like that, because that is already is always going
And
to have a
when
factor in your
I don't
relationship.
think anything is black and white. Like I
Right.
think there's always
Mhm.
situational aspects to something, right? But at the same time, a lot of the times, I think it would depend on if your trust issues came from
Yeah.
childhood or if your trust issues came from like a past relationship and getting, because that's two
Yeah.
different types of trust
Yeah.
issues. They're deep rooted in different places. You know what I mean? So they might stem up in your
That's
relationship
hard
differently,
because for me
I think.
personally, I don't think my trust issues came from directly from like a past relationship. Like, but I
Yeah, me neither.
did, and I guess still do, not in my relationship, but just in general, like have trust issues. Like it takes a lot for me to trust somebody or tell them or, certain information about
Yeah,
me or my life and things like that.
right.
Exactly. Yeah. Oh,
To
maybe it's
open
that
up.
too.
But that's
So I
also
don't
a
know that it's,
vulnerability thing.
oh, I don't know.
Yeah. But I
I
guess you
don't
do
know. Now
have
that
to have
we're getting
trust
more
in
into
order
it, I
to
don't
be
know if it's a
vulnerable.
vulnerability thing I have a problem with, which I definitely do. Yeah. Or if it's like the
Yeah.
trust thing.
This
I
is
think
our
it's
therapy session
probably
again.
both. It takes a lot for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's why
Again, it's
it's hard for
situational,
me
right?
to
Yeah.
specifically say like, oh, it's this. But I think it definitely has something to do with it. I think it's definitely a
Yeah.
factor, but there's just
Mhm.
so many things it could be based off.
Yeah. And I think it also your reaction to things I think also has to come from your partner showing you that support. So if you bring something to their attention that you don't like or that something that happened and you don't agree with it and they
Yeah.
completely blow you off or like just
His little
act
ear.
like you're crazy or something, then I feel like that would immediately I feel like that would immediately
Yeah.
make you retreat and be like, I can't trust this person if they're not taking me seriously. But I don't think that would come
Yeah.
from your ego. I think
That
that
would be
would
more
come
like
from
you're saying my
their
feelings aren't
reaction,
valid if I just told you how I
you
feel and now
know?
you're making me feel bad about it. Yeah.
Right. Acting like it's nothing or I'm crazy or whatever, gaslighting, you know? So I think it would depend on that person's reaction to you, even if it's something like
Mhm.
personal, like you're opening up vulnerability, like about something about yourself, and they don't
You
take
know,
you seriously. I feel like that would also make you feel some type
like
of
I
way.
also am
And
thinking
then it would
when
stem
it
into
comes
other
to ego in a
things.
relationship, could that also be a factor in how long you stay with somebody? As in, say the relationship isn't really working, but your ego is
Oh,
like,
100%.
well, I've already put the relationship out there, and now if I say, oh, well, now all of a sudden I'm single, it's gonna look bad on me,
Mhm.
or to my family. Are
Yeah.
they the same?
Is that ego or pride?
Like,
I feel like they come from the
mhm.
same place. Like for people who are married, let's just say,
Exactly.
and they're like, well, I don't want to be seen as a
It's
divorcee,
like
or
it's
like,
not
I don't
because
want
you
to
still
get a
love this
divorce, so
person
I
or
have to
because you want to
stay in
work it
this
out. It's because, oh, I'm
relationship.
embarrassed if I
I
say that we're
feel
getting
like
a
that
divorce,
is
or I'm
ego.
embarrassed if,
Right.
right.
But does that person know that that's how you feel? Because then I feel like you should at least give that person an
Oh, right. Yeah.
opportunity to rekindle something, or like if they're doing
Yeah.
something on their part that you don't agree
A
with and you bring it to
chance.
their attention, you should give them,
Yeah.
a little bit of a transitional period to make that, yeah, exactly. To make that change if it's reasonable. Like we're not talking about like change people. I'm not saying that, but like whatever it is, I feel like you should give that person enough time to be like, okay, I understand where you're
Yeah.
coming from. Maybe I can be a little bit more compassionate or a little bit more patient or whatever it is. But if you just are
Oh,
thinking in your
everything's
head one
good.
way
Like, we've been
and they're
great.
thinking in their head, we're all
No, I don't think
fine.
so. That's definitely where the
Yeah,
communication comes in.
that's not okay.
That's what's hard too, is like, and you mentioned it really quick. It's like you shouldn't, not as in changing somebody, like if you're telling them how you feel and like, I
Hmm.
want to work on this in the relationship or something like that.
Hmm.
I think that's also where the mental health part comes in relationships,
Yeah.
is it should be what like a healthy relationship would be, is that you both push each other to be your best, and you're not changing who the other person is, but if you're supporting whatever their dreams are. So if they want to go in this direction,
Encouraging.
you're supporting that. Yeah, you're encouraging
Hmm.
them. You're there for them whenever they need that, and
Hmm.
there for their growth. You want them to grow, not just because, oh, well, when we were this age, this is how we were.
Yeah.
But now it's however many years later, you're not going to be the same person,
Right.
but
And
still encouraging
situations
that.
happen. Like things in
Yeah.
life just happen and change like your
Yeah.
perspective of things. So I feel like it's very important, I think, and I know you agree, but I think we both are someone who like we have to have check-ins, like mental health check-ins, like how are you doing, how are you feeling, how is this, how is that, because you could be going through your own life in your own head and it's completely different to everyone else in reality, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if you don't know what's going on with someone in their head on a deep, deep level, like they could be walking around smiling, but they're not okay, you know?
Yeah.
So I feel like it's really important to do those check-ins in relationships just because you can get very caught up in everything going on and then you're
Right.
neglecting your partner in a way because you're only worried about yourself and what's going on with you. Meanwhile,
Exactly.
they could be going through something too. And I think that's really hard when you have two people who are going through mental health issues
Yeah.
or have mental health conditions, whatever. Like, how do you support one another? Meanwhile, also supporting yourself. And I think
Yourself.
that's like the biggest like challenge, I think.
No,
Because you
100%.
don't have all
Especially,
the answers. How do you help
oh,
them, you know?
yeah. And then especially if it's in a time where you're both going through it at the same time,
Yeah.
or, because it's easier to be like, okay, I was down. He was helping me out. Now I'm feeling better. Let me help him out. But then what if it
Yeah.
happens at the same time? And really having,
Hard.
mental health on both sides makes it very, that much more of a challenge, right? But
Right.
not to say at all that it can't work, but just
No.
that you guys both have to make that very conscious effort to
Mhm.
work on that and be open and vulnerable about it, because
Right.
otherwise it's going to reflect more on the relationship. Because if I don't know what's going on, then how do I know how to help, or how do I know
Exactly.
what to do to help you, even if
Right.
it's nothing. Like, what if it's just, hey, like, I need a minute right now. Okay, I need a minute sometimes too, like, I get that,
Yeah.
right?
I
Or if
need an
it's, hey,
hour.
yeah, like, or if it's,
Yeah.
hey, like, I just kind of need to get out, let's go do something. Okay,
Mhm.
cool, like, let's, how am I supposed to know if you're not communicating that with me, being
Right.
vulnerable in the fact that you're going through something?
Yeah. And
I
if you
can't.
do know what could help in that moment, just say
Yeah.
it. Because when you don't know what could help, at least I have options of being like, well, this one time you were kind of feeling similar and we did this
Mhm.
and you felt better. So
Yeah.
maybe try it, you know? And I think
Yeah.
it's also like what's hard for me sometimes is knowing when to do something or say something and then when
Mhm.
to give space if
Take
I
a step
don't
back
know.
and,
Yeah.
yeah,
Because automatically, like, I don't want anyone around me to feel like shit. So automatically, I'm
exactly.
thinking, what can I
Can I
do?
do?
Exactly. But sometimes you don't need to do anything. And
Yeah.
sometimes it's more pressure, I think. For example, for me, if I'm feeling really, really low and I have like all the attention on me, like, what can I do? What can I do? It's going to
Uh-huh.
stress me out more
Yeah.
rather than someone being like, hey, girl, let's go take a walk. Then I'll be like, okay, sure, like
Right.
whatever. And I'll
And
probably be thankful for it. But I sometimes don't know what I need. And you asking me is putting more pressure on me. So
mhm.
then I get overstimulated, overwhelmed, and then I just can't handle it.
This is actually, it's funny because this is actually something me and my sister had a little, like, I guess you could say, debate over.
Mm-hmm.
Is when you're going through something, let's say for example, like a depression, like you're just going through a time where you're really low,
Mm-hmm.
right? And someone wants to be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do you support somebody if, so let's say they say, like, I don't want to talk to anybody, I don't want to see anybody, I don't want none of that. Coming from someone, like, if I really care about you and I know you're going through a depressive episode, I
Yeah.
can't just sit there and not do anything, like,
I can't let you sit there and feel like
and
that.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. And so it's like, well, okay, what if I just send food over? Like, we don't have to talk, we don't have to do the whole, sitting there, I don't even have to be there. But if I just
Right.
send you something, like,
Yeah.
and so if from her perspective, it was like, you're not respecting my boundaries if I say I don't want to talk. And I'm like, but I'm not saying to talk, I'm just
No.
saying, like, I want to support you. And whether it's if I'm in a place like where if I'm depressed or something, usually I don't feel like doing anything, I don't even want to
Yeah.
get up. So, like, let me at least cover food for you. Like, if it's a
Right.
homemade food, and bring it just to your door, I drop it
Yeah.
off, text you, hey, it's out there, and I'm already gone. Or something,
Exactly.
like little things to where I'm respecting the fact that you're not ready to talk about it and you're not ready to
Yeah.
see people, but I want to do something to support you. But in her perspective, it was, I wasn't respecting a boundary. So then, to me, that's where it also, and the reason I bring it up is because you're
Yeah.
saying, like, how do I know what to do? And sometimes this works, and sometimes it puts more pressure to try and help somebody or be there for somebody when
Right.
they're going through that. And myself, like, there's times when too I don't want to talk to anybody, and I'll say it, like,
Right.
I'm like,
Like you're not
hey,
just
I'm
gonna
just kind
ghost somebody.
yeah, that's kind of what it stemmed from. It's like,
Mm-hmm.
if I'm really going through it and I know people are reaching out to me, I'm just say, hey, like, I'm really not feeling it right now. Like, I'm good, but I just need some time. And
Yeah.
that's it, and
Right.
usually the people around me are pretty good about understanding that.
Yeah.
But to just ghost somebody, like, if I'm really concerned about you and I'm reaching out and I'm not hearing anything, that's only going to make me more concerned. And I'm going to
Yeah.
think something's wrong and something happened and I need to
Right.
go to your house and make sure you're, like, do a
To bother
wellness
you
check.
more.
Like, and
Yeah.
then it's gonna, yeah, exactly, and then it's just gonna get to a point where it's bothering you more, and now it's gonna be a really big problem. But if
Right.
you had just told me, like, hey, I just don't want to talk to nobody, okay,
Right. We
fine.
don't have to talk.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
No,
so
I
I think
think
it's a really hard, complicated
toss up.
situation.
Yeah.
You
Like
know,
I think
how to be there and when to be there and how much to be there and
right. I think
when
especially because it changes from person to person. So
and
whatever I
from
might do
scenario to
for you,
scenario.
yeah, what I might do for you or you might do for me, it might be completely different from what we do for someone else.
Right.
And it's not to say that it's like goes off of how much you care about that person. No, but like everyone reacts to things differently. So
Yeah.
like for me, if I was the one who was like, I don't want to talk to anybody, blah, 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 most likely if I'm that type of depressive state, I'm not eating. I'm not taking care of myself. I'm
Right.
not, upkeeping anything like my home or whatever. So you like thinking and caring about me enough to be like, hey, I'm gonna send you some food or whatever. I feel like in the moment I might not feel the weight of that being so appreciative, but like after when you come out of that
I
depressive
think,
state, you'd be like,
yeah.
wow, that person really gave a fuck about me
And I
because
think
they
that's
made
the
sure I
perspective
had
I'm
what I
coming
needed.
from.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
But
exactly
when
where I'm
you're
coming
in it,
from.
like you're in the freaking dark hole,
Yeah.
you could get $1 million and you won't even give a shit. Like, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, it's not about whatever, but I'm not about money. I'm just saying, like, something incredible could happen and you still feel like shit. So
Right.
once you
Because like
come
what if
out
it's
of that,
also like you said that like no, you're in the moment you're not gonna want it, right? Of
yeah,
course. But if I stop by and just say, hey, you stay in your room, I'm not gonna ask you no questions, I'm not gonna talk to you, but let me just clean up the place for you. Like
right.
you're that way you don't have to worry about that as an added stress because that will come around later on when
Yeah,
you look around and you're like, holy shit, this place is a fucking mess. And
right.
now I need to deal with this on top of
Another
everything else.
stress. Yeah.
Exactly. And so it's like, but then someone comes by, cleans it up, leaves, never had to say a word to anybody, probably didn't even have to come out the room, you
Yeah.
know? And then it's like, oh my God, that's so nice. I don't have to trip off that no more.
Right.
So I think that's exactly where I'm coming from is after
Yeah.
the fact of like, wow, I didn't even realize that I needed that, but I
Mm-hmm.
needed it. Because when
Right.
you're in that state, and for me personally, like I don't think about those things. Like I'm just in my thoughts and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But when someone after the fact, when someone really did show me that they cared, I'm like, damn, like I really appreciated that
Right.
because I didn't even know I needed that in the moment.
Exactly. And I
You
think
know?
it goes to show like it's hard because I think you have to know where that person's intentions are coming from. For
Right.
example, if you're really down for let's say a couple weeks and I'm like, girl, like not to say you can't have a couple bad weeks, like we've all been there, but I'm like, girl, like come on, like we got to go do something, like let's get you out the house, like let's
Yeah.
do something to make you feel better and you let's say I get a negative reaction from you.
Yeah.
Like I'm not doing that or like whatever, you give me attitude whatever, that's not gonna be me being like, all right, well, fuck you then. Like, I'm not gonna do shit for you. Like, I'm gonna be
Yeah.
so understanding. Like, I get it, but like, let's just go for a drive. We don't even gotta go
Yeah.
nowhere. Like, let's just go for a drive. Like, you need to get out of this bed. Let's do, whatever.
Yeah.
And I feel like maybe you give me attitude. I don't know, but I'm like, girl, let's go. And I guess that's not respecting your boundaries in that way if you ask me. But then again, I feel like sometimes you just need that push and you might say you don't want to talk, you don't want the attention, you don't want all the stuff, but you want the certain person to be like, but no, like come on, give
And
you
I
that
think a lot
extra
of it
little push.
also could be thinking that you have to go through it by yourself. And it's like,
Yeah,
I just want to remind you, like, you don't have to do that. And it
right.
goes back to the fact of, even if talking is, you don't feel like that's going to help you, well, let's do something.
Yeah,
Let me help you out in some aspect
right. Let's go
that,
break some shit. I don't know.
right. You know what I'm saying? So I think, you're understanding the perspective I'm coming from. It's not about not respecting someone's boundaries. It's
No,
never about just, about that. It's that I just
right.
want to be there to support you.
Not coming from a bad place. And it's not
No,
coming from a place of being like, well, when you come out of this, just remember I was there for you. Like it's not that at
no,
all.
yeah,
It's not
yeah,
that at all. So I feel like you just have to understand where that person's intentions lie. Because
right.
if they're doing it to get the recognition or the appreciation, then they're doing it for the wrong reason. And I
Yeah,
can understand why that would make someone uncomfortable. But if
right.
they're doing it because they genuinely care and love you, care about you and love you, then I feel like it should be received well. Even if you're not in a good space right now, you
At the
can,
time.
yeah, like you'll come around to being okay with it, I think.
Yeah. So all that, to say in a relationship, when it's hard to know what you should really be doing for that person,
Yeah.
it's hard. It really is a challenge for sure. But I think at the end of the day, if you're not comfortable talking about the way you're feeling,
Mm-hmm.
with your partner, it's going to create problems,
Yeah.
because you have to be able to open up to them, because then who else are you going to open up to?
Right.
You know?
Bet not be the next bish. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah.
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
No, yeah, but like I think when it comes to healthy relationship and mental health, you should feel safe to talk to your partner. You should feel safe in opening up in your feelings, that they're not going to invalidate them.
Right.
Um,
And communicate. Even if it's hard,
yeah,
even if it's hard, I feel like those are the things that need to be said. If it's hard
yeah,
for you to say it, I feel like those are the things that need to be said,
because they fester and they rot
And
and
then
in your
what if you start
mind,
resenting that person, but you could have just told them how you felt
right?
and you would have avoided all of this hurt and whatever.
And I've done that, like being
Mhm.
transparent. Like I've done it where I've let my thoughts fester, and then I waited for a while, and then once I got to a certain point and I finally said something, it was so much better than what it was in my head, and
Yeah.
it completely changed my perspective on it, because I talked about it
Right.
and we figured it out. And I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like it felt in my head, after the fact, like it felt like, damn, I was being dramatic. Like, why the hell didn't I just talk about this earlier?
Yeah.
Like that's
Yeah.
what I would think to myself. But it's real. Like your thoughts fester when you keep them inside, but
And they'll
it could be
feel
so much.
real.
Yeah,
They make up
like
the craziest
so heavy.
scenario and it will
Yeah,
feel so real. And that's also with having anxiety. Like we literally
true.
will
Yeah,
the worst things. But I think just being honest with yourself and then being honest with your partner at all
yeah,
times. Like whether it's hard, whether it hurts you to say whatever, like even with how you're feeling. Because I think
yeah,
sometimes I don't want to like say it because then it's like it's real. Like in my head it was
yeah,
real, but now it's real in reality.
yeah.
It's like I don't want that. Sometimes I don't want the extra attention and the
Mhm.
extra like checking in on me, even if it comes from a good place, just because it makes me uncomfortable.
Mhm.
But you have to let people be there for you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you push everyone away. And then when you are in a good headspace, all those people are like, well, girl, we tried to help you, but like
Yeah.
you pushed us away. So we were respecting however many times we got told no.
Yeah.
So I think it's just being honest and like communicating. It's so important, even
For
if you don't
sure.
know
Like
how
I feel
to.
like within the relationship, not talking about your mental health personally, because that's a whole different thing, but
Yeah.
mental health within the relationship wise, like I don't think your mental health should suffer because of the relationship, because you're
Right.
in this relationship and now you feel worse about what's going on in your head,
Yeah. Hmm.
Like individually, that's a whole different, that's completely separate,
Yeah.
But within the relationship, if you're feeling like your mental health is just deteriorating and it's draining you, like
Yeah.
it's not healthy, and you have to either figure out why that is, or
Mhm.
just make a deciding choice of whether you want to stay in that relationship or not.
Right. But I think it's also like when you're going through something mentally, like I feel like it is kind of on you to do what's necessary to
Oh
like
yeah,
whether that be therapy, whether that be medication, whether that be whatever it looks like to you, talking to a doctor, talking to your friends, whatever that looks like, if that's going to help you, like it's not your partner's responsibility to make you
100%.
happy. Like
Yeah,
or to
that's what,
make
like,
you
individually that's separate.
yeah, like
Yeah,
it definitely has to rely on you because you're the only one who can make those changes. Your partner could want it for you so bad,
in the
but if
most
you don't
healthiest of
make it,
relationships,
yeah, but if
they
you
can
don't make those necessary steps, then they can only, what is it?
do
You
so
can
much.
lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink.
Yeah,
Like that's
it's
real.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with all that being said, you guys, we're going to get into some more wisdom. We're going to leave you with one last wisdom piece today.
And we want you guys to share any perspectives that you have with us. If you've
Yeah.
experienced, if you just experienced different types of relationships and things like that, like what are your thoughts on any of the topics that we talked about, that we brushed
Yeah.
up on? Because we have a different perspective, and we also kind of brushed up on separate perspectives that we've
Yeah.
either known or been around.
Hmm.
But if you've been through it, what are your thoughts? Because
Yeah.
we would love to hear it.
Yeah. Even if you want to DM us and you don't want it to be like more public, like
Public,
comment or
yeah,
something, totally do that. Let us know your stories and how you overcame really hard struggles, because we're gonna be married one day, and like the more you know, the better you will be, you know, like you'll have more success.
Yeah.
Like how we always ask like older couples, like, oh, what's your word of advice or blah blah. Like I take those to heart because they know what's up, you know, like the ones that have been married 50 years. Like what the heck?
Share your red flags. Like, what do you guys think are red flags, so
We
that
can
when we
say
do
our
the episode on
followers
it,
red flags
yes, so when we do the
too.
episode on it, we can share some of your guys's, because that would be kind of cool.
That. My red flag number 1: can't run without coffee. I'm kidding.
Dude, I just had such a good idea.
What?
We could do like red flags versus icks.
That's a good one.
That would be cool, because
oh my god, we could do like, and then with that we could be like, he's a 10, but and then add either the red flag saying if we would deal with it, obviously if we were single, because we're not, but like in a scenario, or if we would let our friend date them or something, like we'll think of something, but just be like, okay, our other bestie came to us and was like, he's a 10 but he sleeps with socks on.
He's a 10, but put the red flag or put the ick.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I'm so down. That sounds really fun. We should do that one in person. That would be really fun.
We should.
That would be really fun.
Be the, if we don't get an in-person one before the 1 year, we should do that.
Hell yeah, that's like less than a month. Oh my god. If you guys didn't know, our podiversary is September 1st. We posted our first ever episode on September 1st, and it's coming up real soon. So let us know if you guys like that idea for the 100th, or not the 100th episode, for the 1 year episode, whatever number that might be, or if you have a better idea for what that episode should be, let us know, because we're gonna have a new season coming soon. Every 25 episodes. Have y'all not caught on? Like,
we rebrand every season.
Yes, and we're so excited. I've been saving, I don't know if you've seen, Gina, but I've been saving some photo shoot option or like inspiration on Pinterest on our board.
No, I haven't seen it yet.
Girl, go look after this. But we're gonna leave you guys with one last piece of wisdom, and this is a quote from Renata Suzuki, I think. Suzuki. Jacuzzis. Believing that we are not good enough or less deserving of love because someone else's inability to love us is one of the most destructive fictions we can ever consider to be true.
Period.
And I think that kind of goes with what I said a few episodes ago when I was like, when someone says no one will love you until you love yourself, I think it's bullshit. Like, I think it's a dumb quote. And I think that kind of goes with it. Like, someone else's inability to love you doesn't mean you can't love you. You know?
Right.
Like backwards.
Yeah.
I love that.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this episode. A little bit deeper. I like how we go back and forth. We do some deep ones. We do some more funnier, lighthearted ones. Sometimes. No, for real. This one we got into it for our own stuff. We're like, damn, another therapy session.
Right. I love it. Because reflection is a part of healing.
Yeah. And we're working, I mean, our last podcast was Healing Girl Summer. So we're working on healing. And we hope you guys are too. We hope you enjoyed this episode. Thank you for our new listeners. Please tell your friends, tell your family, tell your loved ones, tell your dogs. The cats.
We love you so much. We're so happy to have you guys, and you'll see us next week.
Bye.
Bye.